There we go. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. Does it actually go live when it does that? I don't think it does.
No, it'll say it'll bring you to another page. So you have to actually make the post on your page. You go to page that you manage.
All right. Yep, it's on there.
Okay.
All right, cool.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, I'm Ray. I'm sitting here with Mike. We are joined, the replacement for Mike this week. Mike couldn't be here. He's in Hershey Park with his family. But we are joined by a very special guest, host of the Laugh Finder podcast, and local comedian Tommy Sinbazo. How you doing tonight, dude?
Yeah, good, man. How are you?
Good.
I'm sorry. I wish I was in Hershey Park. Why is he in Hershey Park?
He's with his family, so
But this second wave of COVID, man. Why are you gonna risk it all for going to Hershey Park?
well, I guess if he's gonna die, he's gonna die a happy man. Be like, look, I'm riding every roller coaster before this shit takes.
If there was one place if it's like, well, world's ending, better go to Hershey Park.
Stand in line for that chocolate tour.
And of course,
I'm not enjoying this roller coaster at all.
Wait, no line, no wait, right?
and of
I
course,
saw I saw a TikTok of a family that was coming back from Disney. They went to Disney during the pandemic, and the mother was giving a review like, there weren't any costume characters to take your picture with, blah, blah, blah. And this guy kept interjecting going, yeah, because there's a pandemic. Yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like there wasn't any parades. Yeah, because we're in a pandemic. Why would you go to Disney World during a pandemic?
and you see, I wore my lobster shirt for you when I was on your podcast. I had on the dolphins jumping out of banana peels for yours, and I'm like, oh man, if I'm going to be on Zoom again with Tommy, I need to wear my lobster shirt.
Yeah, I saw that shirt, and then I went and grabbed my shining carpet shirt. And then changed to a shining carpet background just for you.
Background matches the shirt. That's
He's camouflage.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You can't see me.
And without further ado, let's as Tommy disappears, let's introduce our guest. Our guest is Cara Romanik. She is the host of the Glow Up Girls podcast, and she is also a paranormal medium. Can we call it a paranormal medium, or how?
You can. It sounds badass. I usually say like spiritual coach, Reiki practitioner, but paranormal medium. I mean, and it's true because I actually did a house clearing recently, so I'm gonna roll with that. It sounds like ghost hunters.
So, what goes into a house clearing? Do you just walk in and go, "Look, bitches, get out"? Just
get the fuck out. Yeah.
Power of Christ, the power of Christ, the power of Christ, and they're just kind of like, no, not the power of Christ. Get out of here, get.
So it's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna start working with a realtor actually because it was my friend's house was not selling. Like it went through, it was under contract 3 different times, and it kept falling through. And she's like, she's like, I was on my second marriage. We had a blended family in this house for like 15 years. There was a lot of memories, a lot of good times, a lot of stressful times, just a lot of shit going on. And what happens is, energy cannot be destroyed. It just transfers from one thing to another. And so that's true when people pass away, your energy is still out there. But it's also true if you move, the house can like literally store energy. So doing a house clearing is really like a ceremonial type ritual. Like, yeah, you're going to do the hippie stuff. You're going to burn sage and like open the windows and like clear stuff out. But I make recommendations to the family. Like, for example, they left a few pieces of furniture that they didn't want. And there was this like ladder shelf thing in the master bedroom. And I walked in, and the way that like mediumship and intuitiveness works is you just kind of pick up on, it's very subtle. It's not like the Sixth Sense where you're like literally like fucking seeing a ghost. Like it's not like that. I wish it was, because it would be much easier to like, get everything through. But I picked up on this ladder shelf, and I just could feel that there was like a lot of energy. Like it felt like sad, like memories, like I felt like a mother and dad, like presence with this, like, it was just like all held into this thing. And I was like, I would recommend getting rid of this ladder shelf. Like what was on that? And she said it was actually like basically a shrine to their parents who had passed away. They had all their family photos on it. And I was like, that's like somehow like holding on to it. And there was another room that felt really like, I was like, it feels like my room in my parents' house. And I was like, teenage girl angst. Like, it feels like this. And it was the girl who had the hardest time with like her mom getting remarried and all this stuff. And so it's just like that stagnant energy stored. And so I went through, I did the clearing. I told them, you know, my recommendations, get rid of this stuff, move this stuff around. And really they did that, and they had an open house a couple of days later, and it went under contract and sold the next day, which was like, I was like, success. I was like, tell all the realtors, like, I'll do this more.
You didn't find like someone dropped a deuce in the toilet and just like left it there.
The upper deck.
Everybody wanted to fucking buy it.
Yeah, what if I found something crazy like that and I was like, actually, this is your problem. Like, you don't have ghosts, you just have shit.
Yeah, no one's ever flushed these toilets.
No, it was the ghost. The ghost left the deuce in the toilet.
It was a
And
ghost.
the ghost was
I
like,
tell you, I've been through first time home buyer seminars, like classes and stuff.
we were too.
and-
That shit was that. Yeah, that's not fun to go through.
No, but one of the things, there was one, because there's a program in Baltimore where if you jump through their hoops, they'll give you 4% of the house's
Yeah.
costs to go towards like your down payment and closing costs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's required, and it's a 6-hour class. It's required by Maryland, right? So
Yeah.
we're there in the class, and they get up to the part where like, okay, now what are some of the things that you want to ask the realtor about? What are some of the downsides of owning home ownership, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, you have to mow your own lawn. She's like, that's right. We're going to write that down, mowing your own lawn. Your roof, you're going to have to pay for your roof. Yes, you may have to pay for a new roof, but they're up there. And somebody was like, ghosts. And they were like, yes,
That would be
girl,
his wife.
ghosts.
That would
Let's
be
talk
his
about
wife.
ghosts for
All right.
45 minutes. And they spent 45. And I asked them, I was like, well, what if it's a friendly ghost? And they laughed me. They laughed at me in that meeting. They're like, they know something of a friendly
Can
ghost.
be friendly.
Yeah.
You know.
They're going to shit in your toilets.
Now, when you do the house clear, when you do your medium stuff, I guess, do you pick up on the emotion that the ghost is feeling? So let's say it's an angry ghost. Let's say the ghost was a murderer. At that point, do you want to kill the nearest person next to you? Like, is that kind of like where you go? Like, do you feel the sadness of somebody who's sad? You know, because how does all that work?
Yeah, so it's almost, instead of like feeling the emotion yourself, like if it's anger, instead of feeling like you're angry and like all of a sudden I feel rageful, it's more so like being next to someone who's really angry. So this actually happened I work at a retirement community, and we had this one assisted living room where people would go in and they would pass away really quick, and they were like really stressed, like they were agitated and all kinds of stuff. So there was a woman who had passed away there, and her husband was just super cantankerous. He would always come to visit, try and like say, I'm going to take her out of here. Like, he was very angry, and she actually went out to the hospital and I'm sorry. He went out to the hospital, and while he was in the hospital and he was there for a while, she actually moved to another room and then passed away. So he never realized that she left, and then he passed away. So I think he was looking for her like in that room. And because when I walked in, like I felt like he was like coming at me, like someone in their face yelling at you. It was like that feeling, like I felt like really stressed, and I was like, whoa, like and I saw in my mind like him like pacing around, like looking and looking. So in that situation, we ended up like opening the window. Kim was actually with me, Matt. Matt's wife was working with me, and we opened the window, and then we like walked downstairs and outside, and we were like telling him she's not here. I was like, I half the time when I do this, like I don't fucking know if it's working. I'm just like, let's just try it and just like talk and see if it works. And so it's kind of like that subtle energy, but it feels like that person is next to you and you can pick up on what they're feeling. And that's usually the first way that I can like sense things, is by picking up on their feelings and what their personality is like. And then I can kind of like move into other stuff. I'm still at the very beginning of my like spiritual journey with all of that. I do a lot more with like Reiki sessions, sending energy, healing, crystals, all of that kind of stuff. And as I'm doing those sessions, it's weird, like I'll pick up on and I'll see like subtle images in my mind of stuff, like almost like medical stuff. Like I was doing Reiki on one girl, and it's really just sending them healing energy and doing visualizations, and they're like kind of meditating like while you're doing this in session with them. And I kept seeing like stuff with her hip, like I was seeing like an anatomy book of like hips and stuff, and I was like, do you ever have hip issues? And she's like, that's the one thing. She's like, it bothers me, like I don't know why. And so it's like that kind of random stuff that I just randomly pick up on, and then people will be like, yeah, that's actually like spot on. And I surprise myself, and I'm like, I don't know where it comes from. I wish I knew, and I wish I could like hone in on it more, but I just kind of learn as I go.
Right. Well, we recently had a guest, probably a couple months. What's her name? Was it
Rachel Hoffman.
Rachel Hoffman?
Yeah. She was paranormal investigator.
Right. She pretty much
Oh, cool.
talked about the same thing, how like when she would go to places, she'd feel that negative energy and such like that. And what I find funny, or not really funny, but she started hers at like a very young age. Like remember she had like a what is it, like a imaginary friend?
Yeah.
And it turned out
Yeah.
a deceased person.
Yeah, the imaginary friend was buried outside her room. Like they found her grave outside her room. So
Wow.
that was just completely insane. And also keep in mind, people are already interacting. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, make sure to comment. You want to ask Kara any questions, interact with us, interact with Tommy. Feel free. You know, we are live. So yeah. And now you said that. So I guess everything is visualized. I was going to ask that, you know, how does it come through? You know, so you see everything as a visual. So when this all started happening, were you just kind of like, what the fuck? What is it? What's happening? Like, why is all this shit in my mind? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I think, well, it's funny that you said the imaginary friend thing, because it started from a really young age. So to me, it was never like all of a sudden I'm seeing shit and like, what is this? It's just always how I've been. And I just thought everyone else was the same way. And I had an imaginary friend who was named Chuck, which is random. And Chuck was like a 50-year-old dude that I would like play checkers with, and I'd get really pissed because he would win. And my mom would be like, Kara, you're playing against yourself. Like you could win once in a while. And I'm like, no, he's really good. You don't understand. And eventually Chuck like retired and went to Florida, because I think I just like got tired of like, it was too much his energy, and I told him to go away. But like, looking back, like, and we never said anything about it then, like it was like, just Carrie, you have an imaginary friend. It wasn't until I was an adult that I was like, shit, that might have been like a spirit, because like that's a random imaginary friend for a little girl to have, like a 50-year-old like guy hanging out as your imaginary friend.
That raises a lot of like
Today it would be like, what do you mean your imaginary friend is 50 years old?
Yeah. What's this Chuck guy? I have a ghost van.
Who the fuck is this Charles guy? Wait a minute. Wait, you had Chucky as your friend. Charles Lee Ray from the Chucky series was your imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to put his hand on your head, and he wanted to just take your body, like in the Chucky movie. It was a spirit of a doll named Chucky.
Have you guys seen? I've seen on TikTok, they have these things now called ghost boxes. Have you seen like? Yeah, the ghost box where
I've seen that.
Yeah, it just sets up a box and it scans like radio waves or something, and people will talk to it, and you'll get clips coming through of something like, what is that? Like something like that coming through, and people are having conversations with ghosts.
And see, my thing
Fuck
is
that shit.
Have they ever actually caught a ghost in one of those ghost boxes? Every episode I've ever seen, they've never caught a ghost in one of those ghost boxes. And I want them to catch one, but you see the image of the ghost, and he's just like, let me the fuck out of here.
It's probably naked. Like it's just this naked ghost, like, ooh, ghosts don't have souls. Clothes don't have souls, you idiots. We're naked all the time.
Now, Kara, when spirits come to you, is it at any time, or is it something where you can turn it on or turn it off? Like, for example, could you be sitting there doing whatever, getting ready for work in the morning, getting dressed, and then
Taking
Chuck
a shit.
just shows up.
Yeah, taking
Yeah,
a shit.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Karen, remember me?
Scrolling through TikTok on the toilet. Yeah.
Chuck, get out of here.
Yeah.
No, like I said, like it's really a subtle thing, and it's something that as an adult, like I had a really close friend, Vanessa, who passed away actually on Christmas Day. She got into a tragic car accident, and I connected with her mom soon after that, and her mom was really into all of this stuff, and I talked to her, and we had like these weird coincidences where we would get like signs from Vanessa, and like just really things that you really couldn't explain. And so we would like kind of compare notes and be like, I saw this today, I saw that. And from there, that's where I really started like learning as an adult, like how do I sort of like manage this, because I would sense things all the time. Like I've worked in nursing homes for, the past 10 years, and I would get close to, the residents there, they would pass away. I'd be dealing with their families. There was always like death. I was always around death. And so I picked up on a lot of energy and a lot of their feelings and stress, and it zaps your energy. Like as really anybody, but especially if you're intuitive or like an empath, you have to have spiritual protection and boundaries, because it really can like make you sick. Like when I first started doing Reiki sessions and like doing like tarot card readings and all of that stuff, I was doing it too much, and I actually started to feel worn down, and I was getting sick a lot. And so I realized I had to like step back and replenish my own energy. It's kind of like working out. Like if you start going to the gym from nothing and you get really sore, you can tell though physically that you're overdoing it. With spiritual stuff, like your spiritual muscle, like you don't realize that you're overdoing it until you're starting to feel shitty. So now what I do is I just do a lot of like visualizations. Like if I'm like going to work or something and I'm feeling like, sensing something, or feeling like I don't want to be spiritually open, I got shit to do, like I'll visualize that like I have a bubble around me, and you can make your bubble out of whatever you want. Like we teach kids that, like, because they can pick up on other people's feelings. We'll be like, put a steel bubble around yourself and nothing can get in. And it, on some kind of quantum level, it actually does something just by you intending that to happen. Because a couple of years ago, like I was sitting in a work event and I was sitting next to my friend, and I was not paying attention because I kept getting distracted, and I was daydreaming about all of these like racks of clothes. And I just kept seeing like these racks of like men's clothes and stuff. And I knew that her dad had passed away a couple months ago, but I didn't know anything about him. I just saw it on Facebook and was like, oh, that's sad. Like her dad passed. And she was sitting next to me during this event. And afterwards I was like, this is really weird, but like, I was thinking about your dad during this event, and then I started seeing like all these racks of clothes and like all of these shoes. And she was like, holy fucking shit. And she said like the day before, she had actually finally cleared out his closets, and he was obsessed with penny loafers, and he had really nice shoes, and she donated all of this stuff to a nursing home. And so I guess that in some way was maybe like validation, like he wanted her to know that he did that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess he's like watching you, because like this is what I'm seeing. It's like, so it's just weird stuff like that. But that's kind of the time that I realized like this is happening a lot, and I need to figure out when to turn it off and turn it on, because it's quite distracting.
And we do have a question from somebody on Facebook Live, Jason Colenso. He asked, do you feel some sort of temperature change when you feel an energy?
That's my boyfriend. He's out walking around right now listening to this. And yeah, I would say it's kind of, for me, it's like the feeling of pressure more so than a temperature change. Like a lot of people will say like in the TV shows, they sense like cold spots. Okay. I don't notice that. I just feel like the pressure, like when you're going up in an airplane, like it's kind of like this weird, like, and I noticed it because I used to love going on ghost tours. And I went on one actually in Fells Point
Oh, that's
And
terrible for you because all those ghosts probably just come and everybody, hey, we want to say hi to somebody.
Drunk
I did
Fells
not
Point
realize
ghost.
that. And at the end, you know, outside of Max's, how they have the little square right there.
Yeah.
That's where they ended the tour. And I was with my mom, who's like not into this stuff or like doesn't like quite understand it as much. And I just felt really overwhelmed all of a sudden. And I just started bawling, crying. And she was like, the fuck are you doing? Like, you're being embarrassing. I was like, I don't know. She's like, are you on your period? I was like, I don't know. I just feel really sad. And the leader of the ghost tour came over and she was like, honey, I think you're just picking up on stuff. She said this whole area used to be like a graveyard of sorts. Like it was like back when, because it was a port, and it was like they would just have the bodies like lined up like during like a wartime or something.
It was the Spanish flu, or not the Spanish flu, scarlet fever. That's a mass grave site right there for scarlet fever.
Thank you. Yeah. And so I guess I was picking up on a lot of sadness from that, and I was just like out of sorts. And so she said, just walk a couple blocks away and like tell it to go away. And I did. And this was when I was probably like 21, before I learned how to control stuff and how to, you know, have boundaries. So.
And with that, it's actually kind of funny because now you'll probably get ghosts that'll be like, yeah, I died of COVID. So speaking of the Spanish,
speaking of that, like
a lot of ghosts in their pajamas now.
Has there been more like I don't know, stuff since the pandemic? Like everything's shut down. Obviously, there's less people going out and being locked down. Do you get more I don't know, energy, I guess, from sensing all this shit?
Well,
work?
I have I'm big into like the online spiritual community, and I'm in a couple different groups of people who are like, you know, either yoga teachers or, you know, meditation teachers, stuff like that, and who pick up on energy the same way. And it's one of those things, like we talk about like the collective a lot, and that's just like everyone in the world and like people on a large scale. And the collective energy of 2020 has been like really heavy, and the theme that's come up is 2020 is the year of clear vision, and what that means is like a metaphor for, and another like spiritual reason behind the pandemic. While the pandemic is real and it's horrible and it's a medical thing, yes, what quarantine has done is it's forced everyone to deal with their own shit. Because when you're out and you're busy and you're like running, like Kim is a prime example of this. Like we've talked about it. She would be bopping from work to this to doing stuff with the kids on the weekend. People who can't take time to like just sit and chill by themselves, they always got it. If I'm home, like I was the same way. I'd want to be on the phone talking to a friend. I'd call my mom. It forced us to sit, and all of that shit that we don't want to deal with from our past would bubble up and come up and be like, why do I feel depressed or anxious, or why am I thinking about stuff from 10 years ago that's bothering me? And in a way, it's a good thing because we can transmute that and deal with it and get through it. And then we can come out and be a better version of ourselves. So that's a lot of what is coming up as far as like, you do feel that collective kind of like heaviness and whatever. And when I feel that and get tapped into, like even this week I was feeling a lot of fear, and I just try to do meditations and get grounded. Getting out in nature is really great for people to like actually have your feet like out of your shoes in the earth. It does something. Like the magnetic frequency of the earth, we need to match that. And when we're able to be out there like that, like it's not just good for your headspace to like get away and be disconnected from the internet and everything in the news, but it's good on like just an energetic level to be like with the earth. It sounds very hippie, but there's like science behind it.
And it's probably the thing too, that now since so many people are at home, that they're probably now also noticing that their house actually is haunted because they're spending so much time in their house. They're probably just kind of like, wait a minute, I know I didn't leave the TV on downstairs and I know I didn't turn the fireplace on. Why is it on? Go downstairs, turn it off, go back upstairs, go back downstairs. It's all back on.
I
My
had a
friend
buddy.
Stacy's dealing with that now. She's got like some random ghost in her house and she keeps asking me, I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like you got to talk to it or try and figure it out.
I have a buddy who lives in an old row home in Baltimore in Mount Vernon, and he said at the beginning of the pandemic that his lights would like flicker and stuff, and he'd smell strange smells and stuff coming from the walls. Turns out he was just getting high as shit, and he had a faulty wire in his wall. They actually had him look at it, and his neighbors were like, "What do you?" He just kept screaming at the ghost, but it was because he was so fucking high. His house was about to burn.
Fucking Chuck, stop it, man! Stop fucking with my lights, bro.
My one,
stop playing checkers, Chuck.
Unfortunately, he passed away earlier this year. But my one cousin, he used to live in an old townhouse in Annapolis, and he said since then the townhouses have been knocked down, something else has been built there. But he said that every night there will be a woman that would come up the steps, come through the door, looking for her deceased husband, and he would see her every single night. He didn't live there long. He's like, I can't deal with this
fuck
shit.
that. Like
Anymore.
first signs of like anything spooky, bro, I'm out. We could just be, like doing a tour of the house. If I feel like something, nah, bro. Like if I see something weird, like that, say that nutcracker that you get over there, I'm like, fuck that thing. I'm out of here. It's haunted. I don't fuck with that shit.
And Kara, you experience a lot of spirits and a lot of energy. Have you ever experienced a spirit, and you get this a lot, that's been kind of inappropriate? Like I know Rachel Hoffman, she said that she actually had a spirit kind of smack her on the ass when she was on. And it's just kind of like, man, that's a bold spirit. Like, can you sit there and call like the authority? Like, can you,
call the authorities?
A spirit.
You're gonna get the fuck
Ghostbusters on them.
Can you pull a ghost?
I haven't had a situation like that, and I've heard of that though, and I follow a couple mediums who like do this professionally, because I still am like, I second guess myself a lot. Like I am like, no, this isn't real. Like I go way back and forth, and I'm like reading books about it and just like trying to understand everything more with like energy work. Dr. Joe Dispenza is the one right now I've been listening to a lot, because he is a professor of neuroscience, and they do actual brain scans to see like not only like mediums, like how your brain waves change when you're like connecting to spirit versus when you're not. You go into like delta, like it almost looks like the person's sleeping, and when they're getting information in, and then it goes back to like the smaller brain waves. It's really crazy, but it'll do that like within 20 minutes. It'll flop back and forth a bunch of times, which normally that wouldn't happen unless you're asleep in like REM sleep. But they also do the same thing with people who meditate. They can see how your brain changes when you're in like a trance state or a meditative state. And so that has helped me link like real, like solid, like some kind of science to everything. Because otherwise I'm like, I'm probably just making this up. This sounds crazy. Like you come up with a million excuses to like rationalize it. But I have heard of other mediums who do this all the time, and like professionally, like for groups or one-on-one, like multiple times a week. And they say that like spirit really is just like people, and you have to have boundaries just the same way. Like you can say like, don't smack my ass, or don't like, like don't get handsy with me. It's very interesting. Like there was one girl who said that like someone's brother had passed away, and they were like flirting with her, and they were like, do you have any messages for like your sister, instead of like hitting on me because you're a ghost? Like, but it's their way of showing. I think the reason they do that is because it's the way of showing their personality, because the person that you're reading for, they need to feel like there's some kind of evidential proof of something that you wouldn't otherwise know. So like picking up on personality traits or what they would have been like, that kind of stuff can kind of like be like proof to that person. So they might act up because they're like, Uncle Charlie would fucking do that. Like he would act up like that. So
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Kara, but Ray, I'm laughing because you already kind of know what I'm going to say. So it's typical. I don't know if for them to flirt with you, but has, I guess, there ever been a case where they send you a visual like dick pic You know what I mean? Like,
well, you see
like
things, you
mentally,
visualize things. So
you
so
just like,
could you have a ghost doing a helicopter? Like just
Yeah.
you're in
Helicopter.
this room,
Right.
and he's
That
just
would be
you're-
epic.
what is this? What are you trying to tell
if
me?
I passed away and my wife wanted to like talk to me, and you were like yeah, I see this like helicopter and he's swinging his fucking dick around, she'll be like, yeah, that's him. That's that motherfucker. Yeah.
That's him. If that ever I think if that was like the way that someone would know for sure that that was them, I'm sure they would show that.
I see
It has to happen. That would be hysterical.
like just did you have a big
Matt, if you go before Kim and I'm still around, I'm gonna be like, Kim, he's sending you dick pics from the other side.
just sent you a dick pic.
My phone's covered in ectoplasm.
And
Like, it was definitely him.
what we're going to do real quick, we're going to take a quick break to get in a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. For those of you watching at home, we're going right back into this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, me and Matt, we're here with Tommy Sinbazo filling in for Mike, and our special guest, Cara Romanik. What we're going to do real quick is we're going to get into our beer of the week. Which, Matt, you want to say what the sweet fresh nectar is this week?
Yeah, it's Lancaster Brewing Company. It's fresh roasted. It's got like a peanut butter English style ale. It's really good. And here the caption says smooth, rich, and so
I didn't
nutty.
even realize that it said so nutty.
It is. And I can contest it. It is very nutty.
You can really taste
Speaking of
the
nutty,
nut.
Tom Nutty just joined us on the
Fuck
feed.
Tom Nutty.
Nice. That should be the message that comes with the ghost dick pic. Smooth, rich, and oh so nutty.
And also, Matt, you know what follows that
Oh
up.
shit.
So what we're going to do, I'll give you that one because that's the only other
Yay.
clean one. And I'll take this one. What we're going to do is we're going to get into our shot of the month, which is, this thing is so frozen, our Jack Daniel's Winter Blend, which tastes just like, I was actually thinking about this all day long because of how good this is. I'll try not to drop this on the floor like I did with the rum, but this is so frozen over.
Yeah.
I can't have warm shots. That just can't happen.
Oh
So
no,
here we
you
go.
should. You should never have a warm fucking shot.
Warm Jaeger is the
God,
worst
you're
thing
gonna
on
make
the
me
face
drop
of the
it
planet.
now.
Yeah, like literally, you should have seen how upset Blood was when I dropped the rum on the floor. He was
Right.
about to punch me in the face.
And to reiterate, yes, I say this every time, we really fucking drink on this show.
Oh yeah,
No
This-
doubt.
This is no. Here we go.
I tell you what, when I was on and I left, I was so drunk I had to ride my motorcycle to Pizza John's to get 2 slices of pizza so I could sober up before the
Oh
ride
yeah,
home.
we get fucked up on air.
And all right, now following that,
Woo,
of
damn,
course,
that's
shout
good
out to
shit.
Jack Daniels. Shout out to Lancaster Brewing Company for fresh roasted. God, I'm starting to get roasted. Jesus Christ. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into our games. So we have 4 games lined up. We're going to start off with Never Have I Ever. And what we're going to do is Never Have I Ever. We're going to do a round robin with each one of us. I'm going to read off the card. We're all going to say whether or not we do it, randomly drawn out of the box. So what we're going to do is Never Have I Ever worn Spanx to squeeze myself into a dress.
I can't say that I haven't done that. I mean, you know, okay, it's a side gig that I got going on. I don't want to talk about.
See, I've never worn Spanx to squeeze into a dress. However, I did pro wrestling. Everybody knows that. Everybody listens. I have had to squeeze myself into spandex tights and a spandex singlet. So that kind of is almost.
I'd say
That's a
down.
whole lot of man up in
That's
there.
like that's the man version of Spanx right there.
Yeah, I would.
Well,
I
the
would-
man version is what's that? The thermal blend of Under Armour.
Oh
Those-
yes,
that real thick Under Armour.
yeah.
You'd always be like, oh, look at this figure I have now.
Like, I mean, I got a pair of like super skinny jeans that I don't like to wear. They cut off my circulation.
Oh,
to my
trust me,
testicles.
I've seen those super skinny
Yeah.
jeans before.
But
They're
what it does, it
very
makes my
impressive.
cock look impressive.
Mhm.
You know,
Matt's like, I'm gonna hammer some nails when I'm done wearing these pants.
That's what all the ghost dick pics are going to be of. His dead dick in those pants.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Like Tom Nutty was like, damn, we got to fuck Tom Nutty on the Happy Hour podcast now. All right. So next up is going to be Cards Against Humanity. So, Matt, I'll go ahead and let you do this. We have a little bit extra of cards this week because it's one of the dreaded draw twos, which has 2 answers.
Oh shit.
So we'll let Matt read off the black card. And Kara, have you played Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah.
I'm sure Tommy has. He basically, does the same thing on his, but we give our own answers. So I'll let you read that, and then you'll give the options, and then what we'll do is we'll let Kara pick, and then we'll each say what we think our version of it
That's
is
a lot
as
of
well.
fucking options there, but
Well, let's hope you're not too drunk to read that.
I'm not that drunk. Okay, here. So the black card says, before blank, comma, all we had was blank. And your answers to choose from are Magic the Gathering, Giant Sperm from Outer Space. That's wild. All you can eat shrimp for $4.99. Emma Watson, a sassy black woman, a concerning amount of white people. Fucking Ray.
I randomly drew the title.
A 12-foot scepter of bone. That is very odd. Oh, look, how appropriate. Ghosts. Deflowering the Princess. A Christmas feast of goose and jellies. Jesus. All right, so I don't know. What do you want to go with?
I don't know. Kara, what do you think? Do you need us to reread any of these, or do you have any kind of right off the top of your head?
No, there's too many because I'm trying to put them together. Read them one more time.
All right, here we have before blank, all we had was blank.
Was blank. Okay.
Magic the Gathering, a Christmas feast of goose and jellies, deflowering the princess, ghosts, a 12-foot scepter of bone, a concerning amount of white people, a sassy black woman, Emma Watson, all you can eat shrimp for $4.99, and giant sperm from outer space.
I would say before I want to use the outer space sperm so badly. I'm trying to think of what goes with that. I think probably if you could work that into the deflowering the princess, like before the giant sperm from out of space, before that, all you had was just deflowering.
Oh, deflowering.
Because outer space sperm just sounds so much cooler.
Yeah, or it could be before you had deflowering the princess, you had giant sperm from outer space.
I mean, that's basically the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
It is.
It's space sperm.
I was talking about this today because my mom bought my son like a little nativity set, and I'm like, can we talk about, like, I have questions.
What if this? What if the angel, what if the star was a UFO? Because what had happened was an alien came down and impregnated Mary, and Jesus had abilities because he was a human alien hybrid.
True.
I mean, we're segueing here.
He's like,
but,
yeah, come
but
on,
no, that's actually, there is a.
I'm going to add a UFO to the nativity set.
But listen though, real quick, because I think there is a story about that, and it's similar to how.
Oh Jesus! You guys are gonna get Matt going. You guys just got Matt going.
No. Back in Greek mythology, the gods would come down, impregnate random women.
That's what I fucking told my mom today. Yes, Matt.
And that you had people like demigods, like Hercules and Perseus.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not like a far-fetched story. It's actually been a story from, I mean, Greek mythology was fucking when Greece was a thing, and that was last time ago. And before that,
it's a reworked version,
right? So it's funny how there is a correlation there.
And I think what I'm going to do,
wavelength
card that we had, I think I'm going to say before you had, where is it? Before you had a 12-foot scepter of bone, you had all you could eat shrimp for $4.99.
Yep.
So you have one right off the back, Matt, or?
Not off the back, but I'll go with, let's see. Yeah, before we had Emma Watson, we had, an over concerning amount of white people.
Mine was similar. I had said before we had sassy black women, we had a concerning amount of white people.
I was gonna say
Yeah, that's perfect.
And I wanted to throw Emma Watson in there just because.
All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do Would You Rather. Matt has already hit a grand slam with this the first time we did it, and that was the guest that we had was an author. It was first podcast he ever did, and Matt asked him, would you rather suck one dick 10 times or 10 dicks at once? And I just looked at him, I'm like, Matt, this is his first podcast. Calm down.
Yeah, I ruined him on that one.
So
like, I don't know.
So I'm going to start with, would you rather be forced into a marriage with a spirit for all eternity, or would you rather have someone peel your flesh like a banana and make you watch in the mirror?
Jesus Christ, Ray.
Disturbing.
Yeah. It's an easy too. You just take Ghost Wife.
Well, I mean, who knows if she wants to be captured as Ghost Wife? I mean, I don't know. Some people might be into that.
The old Ghost Wife caught me masturbating at pictures of her when she was alive again. And
our buddy Billy, he said one dick 10 times shows commitment. So
that's the last time I said that's commitment, man.
But if you suck 10 dicks at once, that's like a trauma level event, right? That you will block that from your memory.
You have to look forward to it, and like it'll come back to haunt you. Like, oh fuck,
yeah.
But for the rest of your life, you're sucking that one dude's dick. Like,
I'm just saying, 10 dicks at once. I mean, you'll forget about it, but you'll never eat a hot dog again for some unknown reason. Like, I'm good.
And if you're worried about someone calling you fucking gay or something, like, hey, it was a one-time thing. I sucked 10 dicks, and that's how I found out.
And that was that.
It was a pretty brutal thing. I can't believe you're bringing this up. It was 10 dicks at once.
Right. Well, when you suck like one dick over 10, you're definitely gay.
Or that weed is super good.
Our friend Tom Nutty, he was like, would you rather watch your parents have sex every day or join in once and never have to watch again? Oh my God.
What?
Jesus
I don't know how old his parents are, but no.
Yeah,
no. That's going to be.
Yeah, we're gonna. Can you dislike a comment? How do you dislike a comment? God damn it! Fuck Tom Nutty.
I don't know if I fuck Tom Nutty.
I don't know. Dude. I'm definitely not joining in. That's fucking. I
guess I'm gonna have to be stuck with watching every day. Oh Jesus!
Do you think if you watch after every day, it'll stop being awkward and you start?
I think
I just this again.
I think
that's new, Mom.
Yeah,
I learned that one.
But
Did you learn that one?
I think eventually what happens is after a while you'll just off yourself, you'll become a spirit and you'll reach out to Kara crying aimlessly like you don't understand what I got put through.
I've been watching my parents have sex for eternity. All I see is my dad's old wrinkly balls.
All right, and to kind of calm it down a little bit, the newest edition is going to be 5-second rule. So what we're going to do is I have a little gimmick right here. You get 5 seconds on the clock. So Kara, what I need you to do is to name 3 Honda automobiles.
Oh my God.
Right now.
Civic, CRV, Highland.
You got 2.
Is that not? That's not Honda.
I can't repeat what she said though. Or
No, we can't. We can't. Tommy.
You. That's hard.
All right, ready?
All right, ready and go.
CRX, Del Sol, and Odyssey.
Oh, he got it. All right, Tommy Sinbazo.
Nice.
5-second rule.
He
Good
took
stuff.
Odyssey, so I can't. I don't know. You don't even have to flip it for me. I don't know it. Odyssey was going to be my,
So, Kara,
answer.
you also have a podcast. You have the Glow Up Girls podcast. Would you like to tell us about the Glow Up Girls podcast, how that came to be, who all you've had on, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so Glow Up we say it Glow Up Gals because it's just like gal pals. We joke about that. So Glow Up Gals was founded in January of 2020. It quickly became a pandemic podcast, which we're cool with because we had lots of opportunities to interview guests who we might not have been able to pin down otherwise because everyone was quarantined. So my friend Jess and I actually were going through, I was getting divorced and she was going through a really tough breakup at the same time. And we both had 1-year-old sons. And there was a lot of similarities between what we were going through. We basically just like were in toxic situations and we got out at the same time and just totally started over. And we kept saying, man, like, I'm so glad we had each other because like I felt crazy and I felt like nobody could relate. And because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like you're upset with your partner for wanting a divorce and for the way that, for me, the way that they went about it was just not cool. I really had to start over from nothing. But you also have to realize like you can either react and be a terrible person back to them, or you can take the high road and try and co-parent and do the right thing for your son. And so that's kind of where we came together on it. And we realized there's a ton of other people out there that are going through similar shit. And how can we help them help themselves? And so that's why we decided to create the podcast, was really to share our story. And then it very quickly snowballed into people reaching out to us wanting to share their stories. So now it's a platform not only for relationships, but also success after setbacks and living your passion. So we've interviewed people who, have had addictions and have come back from that, who have had health crises and are now switched careers out of their 9-to-5 and are doing like functional medicine or, Chinese medicine, things like that. So it's really just kind of taken on a life of its own. And we just ask people, what's like your glow up story, which is really any life difficulty that you've been through, that you've come out the other side, and because of it, it's shaped you as a person, and now you're giving back to the community somehow.
Okay, yeah, and I feel like with the Happy Hour podcast, once a guest is on this, they come back out as a changed person as well, mainly for the thing of what did we just sit through for the last hour of the show. Now, with that, have you ever done any readings for anybody you've ever had on your show? Has any of that ever happened during your broadcast?
It broke up. It paused for a minute there. What was that?
Have you ever done any readings for any of the guests that you have had on your show, or is it a whole just completely different thing from
Yeah, it's really a different thing because we're more so the hosts that are kind of like taking a step back and letting everyone else tell their stories. But it's funny that you bring that up because I had my friend Caleb, who does like all this spiritual stuff too. Like he said, he was like, you should do that. Like you should do like a listener reading of some sort. And I keep going back to that. Like I have so much resistance. Like it's not real. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm not there yet. And I think for me, like that is one of the things that I have to like work through and like embrace like my gifts, whatever they are, more, and like flesh that out so that I can do that. Because every time I do a session or something with a friend or someone, it's always really positive and it always like goes well and comes to fruition and they have a lot of takeaways from it. So maybe in the future that's something that we'll be working in. We're looking to start a Patreon soon, and I was thinking that could be like one of the tiers. Would you be like, you would get a reading, or you would get like a distance Reiki, like we'll go on and I'll do like a private Zoom and I'll do like a guided meditation for people, like stuff like that.
And our friend Billy, he commented, I got brain cancer. So yeah, and he's like, give it a whirl, LOL. And actually, he was telling us some fun stories of him being in the hospital not too long ago. So, but yeah, shout out to Billy who's watching live. So stay strong, buddy.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Stay strong. I'll message him after this. Joe Dispenza that I was talking about earlier has some really crazy content about like healing and the power of your body's ability to kind of heal itself in different ways. So I'll shout him out and give him some resources on that, because at that point it doesn't hurt to just try different things and see what could help you.
And with the podcast, is there anybody that stands out in your mind? You said you started in January, we started in June, so you guys started about 6 months before us. And obviously, honestly, I hate saying this, but COVID kind of actually helped any podcast that would be starting up, because people don't really have too much going on.
Mhm.
Is there any particular guest that you had on that was your favorite for any reason at all, and why?
Yeah. I would say one of the most interesting ones that we did was I loved this band from when I was like in middle school, high school. It's like an emo band called the Spill Canvas, and I was just like thought they were the best thing ever. And we interviewed the lead singer, and I was like fangirling, like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. I knew that he had a history of like mental illness, like bipolar and stuff like that, and had been in and out of like substance abuse, but he told us like an extremely recent powerful story about how he relapsed and overdosed and had a near-death experience and then came back. And like just the level of vulnerability that people are trusting us to tell their stories, some for like the first time, like that was the first time his fan base had heard anything of that, because they thought he had been better for a long time. That was like really stood out. We've had a couple episodes like that where we're just like, wow, like thank you for sharing. We had another woman who like broke down because it was the first time that she had talked about her marriage of 20 years ending, and just like it's like an honor to be able to kind of hear those kind of stories and to hold space for them.
So you guys get a lot of real stuff, like stuff that people they've been keeping inside for a long time, so that's gotta be a powerful thing. You guys are helping people, like our podcast, we're about having fun. And I've told you, I've told Tommy, any guests that we've had on the podcast is pretty much like, let's say if we were to sit down tonight and, you were drinking, Lily, you were drinking a beer yourself. Let's sit down and we'll talk about the things that we'll talk about, at happy hour. And obviously, Kara, I've never met you before. Matt knows you very well. It's the kind of thing, these would be the questions I would be asking you. So, but your podcast, you guys are sitting there actually reaching out, healing people, letting people get their stuff out. And that kind of falls back into what you were saying with being a healer. Really, you're kind of healing people on that spectrum as well.
On a spiritual level,
yes. Because it makes them feel better. So, that's great. That's amazing.
So can I talk to you about my addiction to masturbation? Is that like
I'm also addicted to his masturbation.
Aren't we all addicted to masturbation?
That's the point. It's like my name is Ray, my name is Matt, my name is Tommy. We all have an addiction problem. This turned into an AA meeting for a chronic masturbator.
I was going to say, Matt, you come on the podcast and say that, I'm going to get all these DMs being like, me too. People really would, though. They'd be like, me too. This really helped. Like, oh my God, Matt.
Now, no, what's going to happen now is she's going to get ghosts come to her and be like, I just can't stop. Like, help me. Help me.
I can't stop
Yeah.
Ooh. It's kind of like, God damn it. So that's the thing. So right now, you're sitting there at your parents' house. So right now, do you feel that there's a spirit just wanting to just, reach out to you and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody? Is it the kind of thing that you need to be in a certain spot, or can you just open Pandora's box and spirits just start coming in? How, I meant to ask that earlier.
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird. Like, and it's one of those things where it is so subtle, and it's something that I'm glad we're talking about today, because it's not something I talk about really a whole lot at all. And it right now, no, but also like things like, drinking alcohol like lowers your vibration down a little bit. That's why a lot of people who have spiritual gifts have addictions and drink too much and could be tended towards alcoholism, because it numbs you out and it makes everything stop. So it's a kind of a slippery slope with that. But yeah, right now, no, but there are times, like I remember one time, and I wish I went back and said something, but it's really weird. Like I was in Subway and I was in line, like getting my sandwich made. And I just had this overwhelming feeling that the guy making my sandwich had a friend who OD'd on heroin. I just had like all of these like emotions were coming out. I was feeling all this stuff. And I was like, man, I really want to ask him. I'm like, I'm probably wrong. He's gonna be really creeped out. Or what if I'm right? And it's just like, he's not in a space to deal with it. He's not asking to hear this. Like it's like not like he's like at work and I'm gonna like make this kid cry. Like I just like
Wait,
so
were you in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Were you in Baltimore? Good chances you were right.
I know, right? There you go, just even that. But a lot of time, like I try to save it to be like in a space where I'm ready to do that, or like even just like doing a Reiki session. There's a lot of ceremony and a lot that goes into it that I finally found a mentor who's way into this stuff. My friend Caleb, who's been helping me. Like you do almost like opening prayer. You have to be in like a high vibrational state so these lower like nuisance type like energies don't come through. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot that you should take seriously. That's why they say like don't play with Ouija boards and all that kind of stuff. It's not that the Ouija board itself is dangerous, it's that people play with it in a way that they're like thinking it's just fun, or they're mocking ghosts and stuff like that, and that's inviting in. That's when you get your house haunted, is because you're inviting like lower vibe shit in. So that's kind of, it's like one of those things to like take seriously and have a certain space and time for.
Okay, cool. And we're starting to run short on time. Cara, where can everybody find you, find your podcast, in case they want to reach out to you, in case they want to have any kind of readings, or they want to be on your podcast, you know, they have a problem, you know, some sort of addiction or something that they want to talk about, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can DM me on Instagram. My personal one is at Cara Connects. So kind of like connecting to the other side or connecting you with resources. It's Cara Connects. And then our podcast is at Glow Up Gals Podcast. So Gals, Gals, on Instagram. And then on Facebook, you can search Glow Up Gals Podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify and SoundCloud right now.
And for those of you watching, we will be back live on Thursday with Nick Benson. He's a special effects person for Major Motion Pictures. He has done The Blob, Tremors, various other movies. Very interesting guy. For those of you listening, that will be 2 weeks from now. And also coming up down the pike, we're going to have Doug Bradley. We're going to have Tane McClure. She was in Legally Blonde and various other things. She's also a director and all that fun stuff. So, Cara, thank you. You know, Tommy Sinbazo, awesome for filling in for us. We appreciate it.
Having us, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week on the Happy Hour podcast. Make sure you buy our shit on Teespring.